and tens, baby.
Still money. All right. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We are here for take 2 of our emergency podcast, especially filming on a Saturday evening. We are releasing this as a Monday, so welcome to the show. Obviously, I want to tell everybody that Mike is a little upset with me right now because I have been censoring his ad reads, and I've been putting in professional ad reads, and he sent me a nasty text message being all pissed off.
Yeah, so, man, what the fuck is this? I should be able to say whatever I want for our ad reads. You know, we're trying to promote our sponsors. I'm trying to promote them in a way that is, you know, fun and exciting and interesting. And I think with our sponsors, we've been overwhelmingly positive with that. And getting into what we're going to be talking about later, freedom of speech. I can buy whatever I want. I can sell you whatever I want. Eat a dick, Aaron.
Well, since I changed the ad reads, we've been getting more response out of them. So I'm sorry, sir. I hate to break the news to you.
Oh, really? You've been split testing these?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. I like to see the analytics on this because I don't know. I think your numbers might be fake news.
But anyways, we are powered by Spirit Leaf Waterdown in Waterdown, Ontario. Alex and his crew are the top of the business as far as the cannabis industry goes. They are a great crew, know their stuff more than anything. They're located at 64 Hamilton Street North at Waterdown. And big thing for that, guys, obviously with the lockdowns currently, you will have to do curbside pickup. But in order to get your discount, what you need to do is go online. You got to follow them on Instagram, plus the Choking Hazard on Instagram. And then when you go for your online pickup, more than anything, you're just going to go show them that you are following us, and you're going to get your discount when you go pick up. Cool? We'll make sure that we have, yeah.
Cool. That's fantastic. That's fantastic, Aaron. And besides, everything is closed right now, right, Aaron? Where can you go? What can you do? What else are you going to do? You might as well just smoke some goddamn weed, right, Aaron? So you're going to go check out Spirit Leaf Waterdown, located at 64 Hamilton Street North, as I like to point to this gentleman over here to say the address. You know, that's our thing. We're just drilling the location into your head. And besides, what else are you going to do? You got all your CBD needs, your THC needs, CP3O needs, GameStop needs, whatever needs you have, they can fulfill at 64 Hamilton Street North, Waterdown, Ontario. Is the Spirit Leaf location. Follow the podcast, follow their page, and you'll receive a little discount on your curbside pickup order. We are also sponsored by Aaron, Project X Card. Did you know that?
I did, yes. I helped set that up.
Did you know that they're a not-for-profit that works with at-risk youth in the GTA? Did you know that?
I am quite aware.
You were quite aware. Well, are you also aware that if you follow Raul Chavez on XGuard at Project XGuard, and if you also follow us at the Choking Hazard podcast page, if you know anybody that could be influenced positively by the powers that jiu-jitsu can have on you, the wizardry of jiu-jitsu, give us a follow. Give Raul Chavez a follow. We're trying to support a good cause here and a great not-for-profit that is in the community that is trying to create some positive changes.
One thing I will say about Raul is he is all into this, I guess, cold therapy now. So William Hof method,
yes,
like cold ice bath.
Wim Hof.
Oh my goodness! Like
very, very Irish of you, Aaron. I don't even know the William Hof.
Yeah,
so William Hof of the Hoffington clan.
Yes, but he posted something on today where it was like negative like 12 this morning, and him and his boys were on the porch, basically just hanging out in their bathing suits, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I ain't doing that.
You don't do that on a January day, Aaron?
I don't. I am not that guy. I'm a sauna guy. I miss the sauna. I'll be honest with you.
Are you gonna build a sauna in your house one day?
Oh, bro, I am like debating doing it on my porch.
Bro, what do you mean, bro?
Like, I'm literally debating doing it on my porch because it's like I miss it so much. I haven't, like, since obviously the whole pandemic started, like since the club was shut down and the whole deal, like I haven't been able to do that at all.
no,
So
no sauna. It really helps, especially just like there's some benefits with your immune system. There's benefits with relaxation. There's also things with like Wim Hof, as you were mentioning, that, that help with a lot of those things as well. It can actually help with like fat loss as well in some crazy ways. Believe it or not, Aaron, believe it or not, you should give it a try.
Like don't get me wrong. Like I believe I would do it if I had the option for like a sauna as well. Like, cause you know how guys will do like, they'll do the hot cold. So they'll do sauna and then they'll go cold. Right. So if I had that option, I'd probably do more cold therapy more than anything, but I don't have that option. So I'm not gonna fucking do it. So ain't gonna happen.
You're gonna go outside. Your nipples are gonna cut diamonds. You're gonna be so cold.
Yeah, and plus I live in a townhouse complex. My neighbors don't need to hear me screaming and swearing all the sides. So,
well, isn't that like a regular day for like your neighbors?
No, I'm actually quite calm with them. I stay inside. I do my thing. But I want to say, like, we got a lot of things to unpack today. It's been a busy week more than anything. I think it's been one of the more crazier weeks than anything. I mean, like, strange things have happened in the BJJ world. We've had crazy things happen in the MMA world. We've had crazy things happen in the stock world. We've had crazy things happen in Canada as well, especially with the most recent travel ban and the
what is going on?
Oh my goodness gracious! So you just have everything going on. So we'll unpack what we can today. And but like, yeah, man, like, how's your week been? Like, when you're seeing all these things happen, it's almost like not a revolution, but it's just like, it's insane. Like, there's just some stuff you just can't believe that's happening, and you're like, is this a simulation or real life, or are we just like, what's going on?
I don't even know where to start with this week. It's definitely been very interesting. I guess even just starting with GameStop, it's pretty much turned into, I don't know if for the people out there who aren't aware of the situation, there was some Reddit members. There's basically a forum that talks about, Wall Street, like the stock market. It's called WallStreetBets. Check them out. It is a hilarious forum for those reading just for like entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice. This podcast is definitely not financial advice. If you're looking for financial advice, you are tuning into the two worst people imaginable for that.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So what we're going to be talking on here is purely, I would say, satirical at the very least. So where was I? So with Wall Street Bets, there was a gentleman on there, because a lot of them talk about like stocks, like, okay, like here's a good case for buying Tesla. Here's a good for buying Apple, like things like that. So one individual, he noticed that there was a extremely large short interest on GameStop. And it was actually over basically how many outstanding shares that GameStop has. So I don't know, Aaron, if you follow kind of like all the lingo, but I'll explain it for the people that don't know. Basically, to short a stock is basically you're betting against it. So like, let's say you buy a company, you buy Apple, for example, you're buying a piece of that company for a price and hoping to later on sell it at a higher price as you're anticipating them, they're making money, they're increasing their sales, their bottom line, things like that. You're expecting that stock value or price per share to appreciate over time. Now, short selling is kind of the opposite of that. You're actually betting against a company and basically betting against them to fail or their stock price to decrease over time. So that's the main difference. So what this gentleman noticed is, hey, there is a lot of short interest in this particular name. I mean, yeah, they've been struggling. Like, it's kind of I think retail in general people have been kind of transitioning out of that like sector slowly, and it's kind of a dying sector where a lot more people are like buying stuff off Amazon, for example. So you kind of have that factor, but then you notice that over 130% of outstanding shares were shorted. And by there's one company. It was called Melvin Capital.
Melvin Capital was the one that had all the basically they had shorted pretty much the biggest share out of it more than anything.
The biggest share out of it. They weren't the only ones, but there were other.
Citadel was another one, and Point 72 had infused a closed position on it as well.
So basically what happened is this guy proposed like a thesis of, hey, if we buy this stock and if we keep buying it and the stock value goes up, so in order to cover a short position, which I'll explain in a second, they need to sell it at a higher price and they're going to lose money. And this is going to create kind of like a panic or a squeeze, which is basically what happened. So he was proposing this at like $4, like, hey, I'm going to buy, I'm going to hold on to this thing. And eventually they're going to have to cover their short position, because also it's like, it's kind of a sketchy practice as well, Aaron, because think of it like this. Like if you have 10 cars and you're like, you can buy a car, you can sell it, but like let's say you don't even own those cars, which is kind of like short selling. You don't even own those shares or pieces of a company. You're borrowing them from other places. And he noticed that there were more people borrowing. There were more shorted shares borrowed than there actually were shares that existed, which is another reason why this whole catastrophe of a mess happened.
Well,
tell me how that makes sense.
Well, exactly, right? Like, I mean, if you're allowed to short 130% of the company when there's not even 130, like again, you're going over percentage of how many shares.
What's the definition of 100%? Like, it's all of that percent. How the hell can you short more than 100%? It's like saying you're going to give 110%. You can't physically give more than 100% because that's all you have to give.
Yeah. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, this was basically a fire of the perfect storm of these guys originally from WallStreetBets and Reddit having these conversations, and then obviously pushing that stock, driving the sale price up, these guys having to cover their short losses, then that catching on fire, people seeing that the stock is moving up, then it basically going viral and having people who are not even in the market and not even really kind of invested in this whole thing, all of a sudden seeing it and then driving that stock price up, and then noticing other formulas, especially on different stocks. So AMC, Nokia, BlackBerry, and all, like Sundial is another one. So all these other ones that had short positions set up on them, and basically it just created this huge firestorm. And I think it was the perfect storm all pushed together. And you got people sitting at home that have an app service that they can just do it themselves, and they don't have to go through a brokerage or anything like that. People are just like, hey, this is our chance to give it to the man, right?
Let's go kick the man square in the dick. That's what we're doing,
basically. And again, it just like when did it really tip off? It was like Thursday, right?
It was
Wednesday.
It was Wednesday, but it's been building for a few weeks. And now like this isn't like with GameStop, to like give you like some background, like there was like a new CEO or like new officer who came in. I think his name's Ryan Cohen. We're gonna have to fact check that. Google that shit, Aaron, as I'm talking.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Yep.
Google that shit. Okay. Yep. So get on there, Jamie. Anyways.
Keep talking.
So
George Sherman, yes.
It's I think it's
his name is the GameStop CEO is George Sherman right now.
There's I think it's Ryan Cohen. There's a new person on their board who bought, I think he bought a big stake in the company. So he's like basically one of the chairmen on there, and he wants to turn the company around. He believes in what they're doing, but like, okay, just like anything, it's kind of like Blockbuster. You gotta evolve with the times. People aren't renting movies anymore. They got Netflix. So
okay, so he's on there as well. Yeah, it's Ryan Cohen. Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I had the name right. But he wanted to, modernize the company, I guess you could say, to say the least. So like, what are the trends now? Like, you can buy gaming computers. It's like going to like he basically wants to have like the Apple store, Microsoft store, where like you go there, you can play Xbox. there's different like VR, virtual reality things you can do there. So he wants to basically change kind of that whole experience, which is, it's an interesting, more modern take versus, hey, I'm going to go there and buy video games, but you can do that on Amazon. You can order on there. So like he basically wanted to change the model. So that was kind of like the first spark. And then like people are starting to notice it more and more. And as people are talking more, I think the biggest thing that's happened is when you have a short position, your losses are infinite versus like, let's say if I buy a stock and it goes to zero, like let's say I put $100 in and I buy a stock and it goes to zero, I'll just lose that $100 and then that's it. Now, if you're shorting a stock on the other end, your losses can be infinite. So basically what that means is if I short a stock at $100 and it increases 10 times in value, I have to buy that stock back and I owe those shares over $1,000. So just using that basic math as an example. And what they've realized is doing that with this squeeze, and GameStop is probably the most extreme example of it, but you mentioned some other names where there's a lot of short interest where if they have to cover, they have to buy back the stock. If they buy back the stock's going to go up. Whenever there's more buying than selling, the asset will appreciate. If you go to the store and, oranges are in demand, you go to buy oranges, the prices of orange, if the more oranges you buy, the more, there's less, just basic economics. If there's less oranges to buy, they're going to cost more. So as the stock became less and less available, more people piled in, and it's just basically the biggest domino effect that you can see where people are buying, stock price goes up. If there's a short position, they should probably cover, or they can lose your entire savings and some. Like you can easily go bankrupt, which is why short selling is also a very dangerous tactic in the financial world, to say the least, but it is a tactic.
Oh yeah. But did you know right now that GameStop is a bigger valuation than Best Buy currently right now?
which I personally think is hilarious. But like at the end of the day, people should be able to buy whatever they want. So if I want to go to the store, I want to buy oranges, I'm going to buy some fucking oranges.
Yeah, like that does get into the real gyps of the entire complex thing, whereas like you have a company, and again, that's made for the retail investor, like Robinhood, that basically said on Thursday, we are not going to allow you to buy GameStop and other selected ones. Like I'm not going to list off all the tickers here, but basically say you can't buy them, but you can sell them. And
which is absolutely utterly fucking ridiculous.
Which is again, this is now turned into something bigger, because again, it happens all the time where if a stock is where there's fraud or other issues, they will not allow any trading of the stock. So you can't buy it, you can't sell it, right? So till they figure out what's going on with the actual stock. So that's called a correction, right? But they literally capped the market, and they cratered the stock price by not allowing individuals to, again, buy it, which is bullshit. I'm sorry. Like,
which is also probably coordinated with, hey, we're giving you a chance to maybe get out of the short position, which I think by the very definition of this is manipulation. So you're allowing them, like, other companies or hedge funds to get off the hook of their huge mistake that, regardless of what you think of GameStop, like if you see, a trade going wrong that's not in your favor, you should get out of that thing as soon as possible. Cut your losses, move on to something else, instead of digging your heels in and going, no, I'm right. I'm right, even though the market's wrong. Doesn't matter. Like if the price can just keep climbing. And I think the other issue is you can't you shouldn't be able to. I don't know how you can short over 100% of something that's not there.
Well,
I think that's really the ultimate reason why this happened, because if all the shares of GameStop get bought up and people are just holding them, which is the plan, you're pretty much taking that hedge fund ransom. They can basically name their price and go, we're going to sell it for $5,000 a share, $10,000 a share.
Yeah.
They sell it at whatever they want. And like, it's regardless of what the company or the business model is. If you have a position that you need to close and there's no shares to close it, name your price.
Yeah. Like Twitter was a war zone. Like, and again, if you see, like, I like, again, we're off right now, and I've had time, right, where I've been able to just watch the threads.
Hold on, you're on Twitter?
I have the podcast has Twitter, bud.
I don't go on Twitter. Do you have Jack Dorsey on Twitter?
I do not have him on Twitter. No.
Fuck Jack Dorsey. That's all I have to say.
But
fuck Jack Dorsey. Go on.
Like it was crazy. And like, again, I'm not gonna go here and say like all this information is correct, because again, this is a guy that doesn't know much about trading at all, and whatever I say, nobody should be taking as advice or anything like that, or take it as true, right? But when you look at everything that was going on, it purely looks like manipulation, where it was allowing these companies to get out of their short positions or give them time to figure out or build equity so they could actually start paying things. And again, I did listen to I saw all the news interviews with the Robinhood CEO, Vlad, but I know a liar when I've had conversations with people, and when people are asking simple questions and then the actions just don't line up with the questions. I mean, I'm sorry. I got kids that lie to me.
Tell me what you saw there, Aaron. In your
like, you got somebody who can't tell a proper story. I'll be honest with you. Like it looked 100. Again, what do I know, right? I don't know much, right? But if you look at it, it just doesn't look right. And it doesn't look like there's any truth to what he's saying. I'm like, yeah, sure. Some of it makes sense where, okay, if there's a liquidity issue, right, where they need to build something, I totally understand that, but it didn't look that way. You know what I mean?
No,
and then all of a sudden
did not.
And then all of a sudden they raise $1 billion to cover their position. Right. So how do you say you don't have a liquidity issue, but then all of a sudden you raise $1 billion in capital? So I don't know.
There's a lot of, I think this really reveals a lot of the shady underground. There's Aaron.
You keep going. Yeah.
I think this really reveals a lot of the shady underground kind of like I'm not saying like all of Wall Street or all hedge funds are bad or they all do sketchy stuff. You know, a lot of them do legitimate business, and, you know, some are trying to blatantly manipulate the market in their favor, of course. And what is happening now is you have a large following of people that are pushing back against that. They saw what happened in 2008 when like the housing market crashed in the US. And, you know, a lot of them are like younger generation, like, you know, like I would say 30 and under, who, you know, they were kids when it happened. They probably didn't fully understand, you know, why their parents lost their house, or, you know, financially were struggling. They maybe didn't fully grasp that, but then a lot of that had to do with what was happening in Wall Street. That's a whole other conversation. So now a lot of them are like, you know what, we're pushing back against this now. You shouldn't be able to do this. We're going to push back on it. Name a price and we'll sell. And it's going to be a lot.
Listen, at the end of the day, if the rules are the rules, you should be playing by the rules, right? No different than it's a jiu-jitsu match or if it's a Super Bowl. If it's fourth down and you stop on the goal line, and then all of a sudden, no, you're going to give you another 4 downs. Okay, that's changing the rules. If we're in a jiu-jitsu match and I'm up points, and then all of a sudden you just, oh no, you know, we're going to take away that sweep and we're going to take away this because That guy's not supposed to be losing. Like,
is that what you always try to do to me when we're training?
Always tough.
That wasn't a sweep.
Yeah, that was not a sweep. Those points don't count. But you can't change the rules mid-game, right? If you want to change the rules after market close, that's fine. You can't change it the day of trading and not allow the general public to be, but everybody else still has access, right? So again, talking with a guy that knows nothing, right? And I'm not accusing anybody, but everything just looks fishy, right? And again,
Aaron, it is very fishy.
but again, like we look at Hollywood, for fuck's sake. Look at television. Okay, we have there's a show called Billions, which is a hedge fund company, and they basically manipulate the market all the time to get their gains and push companies under. They're, again, Wall Street, The Wolf of Wall Street, Margin Call, A Big Short, all these different fucking movies all talk about how Wall Street fucks over everybody else, right? And now finally the little guy figures out how to do it, and then nope, that's not how he's supposed to do it.
No, we don't. No. You're not allowed. No, we're going to change the rules. You're not allowed to make money. And that's what's happening is when the shoe is on the other foot, they're trying to change the rules of the game, which you can't do. So I think going forward, like what's your take? Like, how would you, I don't know, I guess, how do you prevent something like this from happening again? Or like, do you regulate? What do you do?
Like, you're talking to the wrong guy, man.
Oh, I know I am. Do you want me to field this question?
But I don't really have an answer for you. But I mean, like, there's obviously going to be some form of change. Because again, I think the new type of investor, and again, I think you've attracted more people into the market, which is great. You got more people into the market. But you have a lot of people who are going to be like, hey, we're going to figure out these algorithms. We're going to figure out what you guys are doing, but you guys can't keep changing the rules, right? So again, if they have to have a plain set of rules that everybody has to follow, and that's how a free market works. These are the rules. There's winners and losers. That's how it's played. You can't change the rules midstream, right? But again, and it comes down to the big players like the NASDAQ and all that kind of stuff. Like, if they need to be following the same rules as everybody else, right? And I was laughing because did you hear the story about the crying billionaire over this whole thing?
Oh, well, was he crying into his caviar?
Yeah, basically. So Leon Cooperman or whatever, he was basically going on all this fair share thing is all bullshit, and this is just an attack on wealthy people, but we all need to work together and get through this whole thing because of the pandemic. It's like, go fuck yourself, bro. Like, don't talk about attacking the wealthy. Like, they figured out a way to the same system that you guys
took
have been
advantage
doing.
of the situation that, like a lot of people on Wall Street have done for years. And at the end of the day, Aaron, now if GameStop went bankrupt and their stock went to zero, would they be crying? Would they be crying about like, it's not fair, woe is me? No, would they care that tens of thousands of people will potentially lose their jobs because a lot of those people that work at GameStop, or maybe they're relying on that income, maybe they have a family they need to support. Are they going to be, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps there, boomer, and get in there and go work hard and go and do what you need to do? No, it doesn't work like that.
Listen, at the beginning of the pandemic, they pulled numbers, okay? The top billionaires, okay, as far as an accumulative of wealth, of how much money they made, was $3.7 trillion. Since the pandemic, and so to the amount of time now. The amount of people who lost income throughout the entire pandemic, and this is US figures, so don't, not Canadian figures, but they did a full $3.5 trillion of lost wages as far as people losing their jobs, companies going bankrupt, all that kind of stuff. So the billionaires got richer. And again, if they're smart and they run successful businesses, all the power to them, right? But let's be real. Who are we arguing about, right? Like the little guy figured out a way to do it. Like, I'm sorry, like you can't change the rules. Like if you're going to change the rules, everybody's got to change the rules together.
Just because you're not losing, just because you're losing, you can't take your ball and go home. I think this is going to be real interesting in the coming weeks because there's still a large short interest. It's still over 100%. I think maybe a little bit of it has been closed, but you know what? This could just be the tip of the iceberg that's happening.
I think it's going to be interesting. And again, the biggest, I forgot the gentleman's name, but basically they were saying is like, if they keep trying to change the market and because the market will eventually correct itself, right? And you probably won't see this type of storm again, like as volatile as it is, right? Like, so we'll see what happens on Monday and kind of go from there. But you're going to have a lot of these new young investors not want to play in this market anymore, and they're going to go to the crypto market, right? Now that's a whole other ball game that I don't understand, and I'm not even going to talk about it because Bitcoin.
You're definitely like, an expert in that category of Bitcoin.
I don't even understand how, because it's something you can't see, and I don't know how people make money on it, right? I just see the numbers go up, and again, if you have it, awesome. I wish I bought some back then because I'd probably be wealthier, but I don't know how. It's interesting.
I don't know. Help me, somebody. Reach out to me at the Choking Hazard podcast page.
Yeah, man. Like if somebody could come on here and explain cryptocurrency to us, I would really appreciate it. Like just so I can have an understanding.
You're like, so what am I buying?
Yeah, no, like they're was it Ronnie Chan? He had this great segment on the Daily Show or whatever. What was crypto? It's like basically like the Big Short kind of movie, but they kind of like tried to explain it on comedy, and I still don't get it. And they still don't get it.
I still do not understand. But no, it's going to be a real interesting few weeks coming up. And speaking of interesting, we put out an analysis / predictions for the Conor McGregor Dustin Poirer fight, and boy was I wrong.
Oh yeah, like we were definitely wrong. It was crazy, man. Like I didn't expect that, but I also am not surprised, right?
Me too. I'm not surprised, but
I think it was like you're expecting to see the Conor that, but I think if you actually watch the fight back, like I kind of watched the replay, I was like, wow, his stance is different. Like he's so tight, like he wasn't loose at all. He wasn't, again, like remember Jose Aldo, right? Yeah. Jose Aldo used to come in with those kicks. Everybody was using his kicks. He would blast the legs. He's in and out. He's just elusive, right? He was very good at his game. And then Conor was the same thing. He would use that front kick. He would come in with his kicks. That was part of his game. He would prob, and then he'd come in with his left. And then that wasn't happening. He was, if you look, there's a comparison of like Conor's stance of the fight just recently, and then even him with Donald Cerrone. The stance is completely different. He's up high. He's like a boxer. What happened? Like, I don't know what the game plan was. Like, I don't know if it's just ring rust. Is it different things? I do think only fighting once in the whole year is totally different from, again, I don't know.
I think it's probably a combination of a few things, but it's also like you got to give Dustin Poirier credit. Like he's a
100%.
legit world class, probably potentially the next lightweight champion. We'll see. He may be fighting Charles Oliveira. He could be fighting. There's a lot of different names he could be matched up with. But yeah, I was very impressed with what he did. He came in, very smart game plan, trains at a world-class camp. He's got world-class guys to work with every day, and some of the best minds in MMA that he's been working with for years as well. So he has all the tools in place, and they got a good game plan. They attack the legs, they slowed him down, and then they set up the KO with the hands later on in the second round, which I was very impressed with.
Yeah, no, it was a really good fight. And again, like you said, perfect game plan. And now they're 1-for-1. It's curious to see if they do the rematch at all. Let me ask you this. What do you do with Conor now?
I don't know. I think he needs fights. You want to take advantage. Obviously, he's a big money draw, probably still the biggest money draw in MMA right now.
Yeah, 100%.
So you still need to highlight him, but is he, lightweight championship material right now? No, like you can't really put him in that top upper echelon. So, who do you put him against? Do you put him against like a Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje? What's the?
I think he goes up against Chandler. He's the underdog.
I think so too. As crazy as it sounds.
I don't like that fight for him.
I don't like that fight for him either. Even I think Gaethje would be a very tough match for him right now.
Like, I honestly, like, when I look at it, it's like we look at matchups. It's almost like I'd kind of want to see him go with Nate Diaz again at 155.
That would be a big fight, and it's also two people that I don't think Nate Diaz is going to be in like top championship contention right now either. So that's a good fight, I think, for both of them to kind of see where they're at. So it'll be a big money fight too. So like everybody wins. UFC makes money. They get to feature two very popular, fighters. So people would.
Putting him back in the grinder with Poirier, or like I just don't like that fight for Conor. I don't think he'll find success just yet. I think he needs to get another fight in there. It's like that tune-up to kind of get that win streak back, like get that hunger back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like the Cerrone fight was good, and then the pandemic happened, and then like it was like basically a full year until he fought again.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like,
or does he fight Jake Paul?
I don't think that happens.
Or pound for pound, the biggest boxer coming up, 2-0, KOing NBA athletes who have zero pro boxing experience.
So let me ask you this: if you got Jake Paul and Ben Askren, who are you taking? This is just like Ben Askren can't punch for shit.
Ben Askren is a world-class athlete, world-class.
Maybe not
a world-class boxer, but I don't know. That's a real interesting fight.
It's not wrestling.
But if Ben Askren just thinks I'm just going to show up and beat him because I used to fight in the MMA, he might be, he could get upset. You never know.
Yeah. Because what was it? Ricardo Amendolia and I were going on Twitter, and we were talking about Dylan Dennis and Jake Paul, right? And I was like, he's got Dylan Dennis going all the way, regardless. He'll take Dylan, and I'm like, I don't know, because Dylan.
We're talking boxing.
We're talking boxing. If MMA, no way. 100% Dylan Dennis wins that fight. I'm not even going to have that discussion, right?
Yeah,
but we're talking boxing.
It's not even close. We're talking boxing.
We're talking boxing, right? Jake Paul has obviously figured out a formula that works for himself to generate knockout power, right? So it's obviously there. It's been proven. Dylan Dennis's stand-up is non-existent. It's not good. So
it's not
anything could happen.
It's not his strong suit. Like he's known as more of a world-class jiu-jitsu guy.
He's a jiu-jitsu guy, right? Yeah. And again, I just it's like you put two people in a ring to just do one thing only. And again, two guys that don't have skill, it's almost watching a little street fight happen with these two kids. And it's like whoever swings and hits first and connects, that's who's going to win. That's honestly how I feel.
That's what's going to happen. Are you gonna pay for that fight? Are you gonna be?
No.
You got Jake Paul against Ben Askren then.
I don't like making these predictions because honestly, like, it's like,
All I'll say is this: knowing what I know about Ben Askren's striking, which is not existent, he's more of a world class, like kind of like Dylan Dennis. He's known for other things.
He's a world class wrestler and he's an athlete. He's a grappler. He's fantastic. Can he? But again, like
it's like throwing him into it's like throwing him into like a badminton match. Like you might as well just do that.
But like he got his head blasted in with a knee from Jorge Masvidal, right? Like, if that doesn't, again, that was a scary knockout, right? I know it was about a year and a half ago already, but still, you get guys that get clipped like that. They're never the same.
They don't recover. You
don't recover from that stuff.
Knowing what we know about head trauma.
Like, you don't recover from that. Like, Wanderlei Silva was never the same since he ever got, like it was like one of those, what was it? Who did he get knocked out by?
Mirko Cro Cop KO, where he got like head kicked into like
he got head kicked into it next week, and then it was like he just could never find. But it was when he got nailed by Rampage Jackson. That's the one that really kind of did it for him. The Rampage Jackson, the left hook, that one hit it for him. Same thing with Chuck Liddell. When Chuck Liddell got hit by Rashad Evans and just got knocked to oblivion and basically shit himself, right? Ever since then, he got tapped. It was a knockout. Like, it just happens.
No, it does. It's absolutely there's only so many shots to the head that you can take. You know, Jake Paul's very young. I think he has, you know, some legitimate boxing experience. I'm not going to say like he's going to be like world champion at any point.
He's not elite.
He's not elite, but he's an amateur. He has people that he trains with that are coaches that are legit he does his boxing work with. But with that said, is this where fight sports is going? Where it's going to be like, it's kind of like that. It's almost like the Pride days back in the day. It's like Aaron Gall versus like 30 midgets or something like in the Pride in Japan, where you're gonna fight like Giant Silva, who's like 7'6", and you're gonna like rolling leg lock him or something.
It's at that point right now where, especially like, because you can't have fans in the stands, right? Like, because the revenue stream is just so limited right now. Right. So if you're doing pay-per-view, you can only rely on pay-per-view and merchandise and whatever, right? Everything and advertisement leading up to the fight. So you're not going to have a gate. So yeah, like, they're thinking up with as many different ways they can try to make money. And these are the options they have, right? Like that's the reality. Right. And so that you're getting into these antics of the World Wrestling Federation or WWE style, because again, you're trying to create things that people are going to buy and people are going to generate. You're
trying to create drama. That's
exactly. You're trying to
create drama. You're trying to create, you know, like Conor McGregor, perfect example of it. Somebody who is creating drama, or like he's, you know, being the bad guy. He's talking butts into the seats. Like, it's a business after all. Like, if you want to make money, you need to be able to, you know, have some personality, and you need to be able to talk people into, like, either A, I want to see this guy win, or B, even better sometimes, I want to see this guy get his ass kicked. Floyd Mayweather, another example of that coming up. World class.
Well, that got delayed.
Amazing boxer, but like Floyd Mayweather, his whole career, was the bad guy. He's like, listen, he's like, I'm going to beat you, whether you like it or not. I'm the best boxer in the world. And, you know, he was a major draw for a long time.
Yeah, he's supposed to fight Logan Paul, but that got delayed now. So I think it's going to be April. I think they pushed it back.
That'll be interesting as well, but
it's going to be the same story.
I don't see him laying a finger on Floyd Mayweather at this point.
Floyd this is just some money. This is just so Floyd can pay off his next car. Like, that's all it is. Like,
$100 million. I'll take that.
exactly.
Speaking of money, Aaron, I don't know if we want to skip ahead here, but do you want to go over the new rules and regulations for people that are listening and for what's going on in Canada? Good old Canada.
So starting tomorrow, yes, that's going to be interesting, especially with the newest travel ban. So Canadian flights cannot go to the Caribbean destinations and Mexico destinations. And then only international flights can land in Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg.
No, I don't even think Winnipeg's on there. I think it's like Montreal, Toronto, Calgary, Vancouver.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's those 4 locations. And then every international individual coming into Canada must have a rapid test for COVID test, and then they must stay a minimum of 3 days in a hotel. At the cost of that individual could range to $2,000. So my question is, are they staying at the Ritz Carlton? Because what the F? How that place?
I know the hotel industry is really suffering right now, but like, are they staying at like the King Edward in like downtown Toronto, where it's like a 5-star hotel that's like, $400, $500 a night? Like, where are they staying? It's a pretty soon. But
listen,
yeah.
My wife works in the hotel industry. I know the prices, and I'm just like, where did they come up with this number? But again, it's all about discouraging people from traveling at all and not leaving the country more than anything. And again, I understand 100% why people are mad. I totally get it. Everybody's fed up. And that's the reality. I think people are just plainly that's fed up.
You're right.
They're mad, right? And I think again, if you come back to like, okay, why wasn't this implemented so much longer before, right? Why were people allowed to come in and out and do whatever the hell they wanted? And then we still don't have a Band-Aid on this thing. It's like we're coming up on a year. People have had enough. Some people have been out of work for almost a year. Like, it's crazy.
It is. Like, well, what do you do, Aaron? What do you do? Like, it's been a year. Wouldn't you think that there's been, some formal plan or a call to action or something that everybody can get on the same page on? Which I don't think it is. I think the issue is, you're right. Like, people, I think, are fed up with the situation. It seems like, when some of the rules aren't really following, or like, passing the logic filter, as I call it, and like, or like some of the things that like you hear when it comes, not even just restrictions, but it's just like health recommendations. Some of them are like, are valid. Like, hey, like if you're in large indoor areas with a lot of people, mask usage and all that stuff, that's fair. That seems like there's some thought to it. If you're in a area of high concentrated people, I've also made fun of the fact that they've also recommended that you wear a mask while doing adult activities with your significant other, which is kind of ridiculous, because if you're already in the same household as that person, you put on a mask as you do it, you're good. You're not going to get COVID. But if you don't, your risk of COVID goes up 900%. Or like, like even we were talking like with Nate DeSantis like a while ago as well, where like he even acknowledged like, like there should be restrictions. There should be some rules in place where like, okay, like this is what this is what we need to do to kind of mitigate the situation, but it needs to make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, people aren't going to fucking do it. Like an example, like a jiu-jitsu example is, okay, where you're going into a place, you're going to wear a mask. You wear a mask up into the mat. You take it off. What's the point of even wearing a mask at that point? Or even just wearing it to there? You might as well, or it's like, okay, like you're allowed to drill, but you can't roll, but you're already in contact and you're already exposed to one person. So tell me how that makes sense. It's either like, in that situation, it has to be like an absolute. It's either like, okay, you want to train with a mask on, go for it. or if you want to, like, let's say you work with one person and you're in contact with one person and you know their whereabouts and everything, and you're both being, safe and socially responsible, go for it. Should you be throwing orgies right now, Aaron? I'm looking at you with like 50 plus people. No, you shouldn't be doing that, Aaron. Shame on you, Aaron. Enough with the orgies, Aaron. We're in this together.
No, that's not happening. Trust me. But I've been saying this. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like, testing is a key thing. Yes, it has to happen. But what I don't understand is, again, and these tests are available, but they haven't been approved. It's a rapid test, right? But I'm talking about, you has to be a test where it's obviously cheap. You can have at home, multiple uses. And so the idea is you can test yourself every morning. Okay, do you have COVID? Yes or no? Does the family have it? And trust that people, if they test positive, are going to stay home, right? And not, or whether it's at the work or whatever it is, right? And trust that people will stay home if they are sick, and their family will stay home if they are sick, because that's the exposure level, right? And then you can have some sense of normalcy with obviously some restrictions. So whether it's mask wearing, again, like I don't see the problem with, I don't interact with tons of people outside. You don't interact with tons of people outside. Okay, let's go train jiu-jitsu and roll, right? I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, in a one-on-one setting. Now,
in a one-on-one setting, right?
Should you be doing that with 30 people right now? You're kind of rolling. You're kind of rolling the dice, in my opinion. But
you're rolling the dice with that, especially when it comes to, again, I don't. The worst thing you want to happen is somebody gets sick while you guys are all together, and then the whole group gets sick. So like that's the worrisome. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but just.
And we all know people love to hear that.
but again, like, people can do whatever they want. Again, people get sick all the time. I totally get it, but it's just mitigating the risk. So in case something does happen, nothing comes back at you that you don't want to regret, right? Or your whole business gets put down because of something happening. Like that's what you don't want to happen. And I don't think anybody wants that to happen at all.
No,
right?
I don't think anybody does. I think most people are sensible. And
100%. I think people are sensible. I think people want to do the best thing that's for them, and people want to be able to do what they want to do, right? Like, should you be going to a bar, right? Where, and again, I've never known.
Should you be going on vacation to the Caribbean and people tell you, hey, stay home, don't go on vacation, and then certain politicians decide to do that, and go, hey, we're going to go. Hey, we told everybody to stay home, but we're going to go on a Caribbean vacation over the holidays. Well, people see that and they're like, well, you're telling us to stay home, but you're not even following that. Why the fuck do I have to follow what you're telling me what to do?
That's the thing. Like, if you're going to set a set of rules, and especially politicians who are still making a paycheck, they didn't lose $1, right? They didn't take a pay cut or anything like that. I'm sorry, if these are the rules and your politicians cannot even follow their simple rules, obviously these rules are not proper. And so why is the rest of the country or the rest of the province following them? So that's the whole thing. And that's why people are mad. If everybody was locked down together and there's no bullshit going on, people wouldn't be as mad as they are, and they wouldn't be bitching. But because all this other stupidity, basically what it is going on, that's why people are mad.
Yeah, it's really what it is. And I think tying it back into the stock market, it's where, like, the market makers are kind of changing the rules on the fly in their favor. I think a lot of that is sometimes happening with not saying like, people are changing there's rule changes and, things on the fly, of course it's like it's an evolving situation. So like there's some parallels, but there's also, you can't really compare the two, but like there's kind of like, what are the words I'm looking for here, Aaron? Like there's some parallels to it where I'm losing my train of thought here.
basically you're again is people just if you're gonna say something, follow through. That's it.
Yeah,
like
no,
that's the reality.
that absolutely, that absolutely, I agree with that. Like if you're gonna have a set of rules, you should stick to those rules, and you shouldn't be able to just change those rules halfway through when you know they may not work in your favor.
And I think that's it, man. Like I've said before, I think everybody wants this to be done and over with as fast as possible. I mean, I don't know when that day comes. I really don't. Nobody really knows. And again, people are starting to get frustrated. I'm not saying the revolution's coming. Like, what the fuck do I know? We just talk shit, right? But I think it's patience, but people are starting to lose their patience. That's for sure.
They especially start to lose their patience when they're being told what to do, but then they're seeing, you know, certain people and politicians and things like that blatantly breaking the rules, and they know that like they're breaking the rules. It's not just I didn't know I wasn't supposed to travel over the holidays. It's like you knew very well you weren't supposed to do that, and you did it anyway. What the shit?
I think,
Not
man,
cool.
like honestly, like people want to work. People want to put their businesses back up. They want to be able to do what they do, right? Like, again, like there's people like this is all again. I feel again, I've said it before. Like I feel so bad for so many different school owners or people that own stores that can't open because of these rules, right? And they're brick and mortar places, and that's the way they make income.
Yeah.
And they can't do their passion because they've been restricted, right?
Yeah.
Like even you and I, we've been restricted. We can't work with people. That's our career. That's what we do, right? And it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I'm going to go be an electrician or a plumber or whatever. Like, and that's not something a lot of people want to do. That's all. That basically they worked their entire life to have their business the way they wanted it, and they're not being able to do that at all. And nobody's covering.
There has to be a way. Yeah, there has to be a way to pivot. I think that's the biggest thing. Is there has to be a way to pivot the certain industries, like the fitness industry, for example. Like a pivot can be you're training people, but you're training them virtually. You're not actually there. Is that a perfect scenario for like personal training, for example? No, but like at least it's a service that you can offer. I think a lot of times, even for like jiu-jitsu as well, you have to find ways of people still want to train, people still want to do jiu-jitsu, people still want to, you know, focus on their health and get in shape. You just have to find a way to, you know, create a product and deliver it in a different way where with the restrictions, you're able to do so and still make a living. I think that's really the trick. Can you do that with every industry that is been affected by this? No, unfortunately, you can't. But I think there's ways you have to change kind of the business model of what you're doing. Just talking from like a business standpoint, you need to be able to change business-wise what you're doing, and you need to make some pivots, or you have to take a step back and go, okay, well, unfortunately, a lot of times in this situation, you know, there's going to be a lot of businesses that are going to get shut down, and it sucks.
Well, but you know what though, like, and again, this is the government has to be responsible to some extent for this issue, right? Because you can't shut down industries and then just say, oh, it's not our problem. Like, I'm sorry, because you haven't let us open. It doesn't work like that. Like, I'm sorry, there has to be some form of repercussion down the road. Like, and I don't know what that is. I don't know how it goes. I'm not in that situation, so I don't understand. I don't know what that is, but
I think another thing is like time frame. I think it's another thing. It's getting people very frustrated. It's okay. So we're in a lockdown on this day. We're going to revisit it every 2 weeks. It's like, okay, we're going to extend it 2 weeks, and then we're going to extend it another 2 weeks. And then we're going to, or like with schools, for example, now with schools being purely online, purely online in the GTA, where it's okay, like we're going to revisit it. All right, we're going to keep your kids home for another 2 weeks. Okay, now we're going to do it until February. Now we're going to do it till March break. I think there needs to be some transparency. People are going to be pissed off regardless, but I think they would respect it a lot more if they're like, okay, we're just gonna keep everything online the rest of the year instead of just constantly extending it, because I think you're just gonna piss people off even more. Be honest, even if it's not what people want to hear. Be honest and be like, okay, this isn't working. This is what we're gonna do. This at least is going to give you some time to pivot and think about what you're going to do for the next, few months, instead of just like this constant limbo of, well, is my kid going to go back to school? Is it going to get extended another 2 weeks? And is Aaron going to pull out the small remaining bits of his hair that are remaining on his head?
What pisses me off more than anything is when these guys get up and talk at a press conference and they say, well, we're going to release that on Tuesday and it's fucking Thursday. And it's like, motherfucker, just tell me now. I don't want to wait till Tuesday. Like, just tell me now what it is. What? Because you don't have you're not ready to take questions now? Well, too fucking bad. Okay. You know what the deal is. You already made a decision. So just fucking tell people. Like, if you're going to lock us down, then just lock it down. Like, don't well, we're going to let everybody know on Tuesday. You've made a decision.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Come on. Tuesday.
It's not a movie trailer. Okay. And that's the thing. They're treating it like a fucking game. Just move forward.
Just be like, and just have a plan. I think it just comes down to that. It's like, this is where we're going. This is what we need to do. This is what the next month is going to look like. These are the targets for when we were going to start easing restrictions. So like, let's say we're under, X amount of cases a day. Let's say 1,000 cases a day. This is when we're going to start slowly opening things up and doing different things. Have you heard any of that? Have you heard any of that? No.
Right. And again, like, that's the thing. Nobody knows anything. And the only people who are allowed to know anything don't tell you shit. And they keep changing and keep moving the goalposts when they want. And that's why people get mad.
Going back full circle, the stock market. Market makers are moving the goalposts, and politicians are moving the goalposts when it seems okay for them, but not okay for us.
But does something have common? It's all the government.
It's the government. It's the government, man. It's the government.
Oh, the government.
It's all the government.
Yeah. So, well, it is what it is. But I think this will be, we have who do we got on tomorrow? We got
David Mosley is going to be on tomorrow. We're going to be recording a podcast with him. By the time you hear this, we'll probably be releasing his podcast probably towards like after this session that we've done as well. So
so this is going to be
forward to that.
If you're listening to it now, it is Monday. It'll be dropping today. And then you will be seeing David's on Thursday.
Yeah. So that'll be Aaron, who will be the monkey in the trunk working on that.
Yeah. But got some exciting news especially we do have a special guest coming on. I'm not going to say his name just yet, but I'm going to have kind of a panel because I put out a question for everybody, especially like who's working in the cannabis industry. And I have two really exciting guests that we're going to bring on who work in the industry, but are also very, know the science behind it. We're going to be chatting, mostly about like, again, the cannabis industry, but again, sports performance, recovery, effects, why all of a sudden the change, especially in the industry, being more acceptable, especially when we look at sports organizations, all that kind of jazz. So these guys know it, and we're going to really have a good conversation with them. So I'm excited for that podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one as well. That'll be very, very eye-opening, I think, for a lot of people, but it'll be, times are changing, Aaron. Did you know that?
They are. Yeah. But and again, it's not that I didn't want to bring anybody. Again, I know a lot of you guys, especially the audience, are out there that have used cannabis before and use it during jiu-jitsu, and you're like, oh, it's awesome. I can tell you. And again, it's not that I just didn't want anybody to just train jiu-jitsu and smokes. I wanted some individuals that actually
we're talking about in Ontario, because we would have to have like 700 guests on at least.
Exactly. Right? So I wanted again, I don't know everything, right? Like I want
and they would all be late because it's 420.
Exactly, 100%. So I wanted to have those individuals on to tackle the scientific stuff, so you guys can get that information and then apply that to your training, or if you're already kind of there, or just have more info. That's it.
Or if you just basically if you just want to know more about the subject, we'll be recording a podcast very soon with some special guests that are very influential and knowledgeable in the cannabis space. And if you want some cannabis, Aaron, you're going to go to Spirit Leaf Waterdown, located at
64 Hamilton Street North in Waterdown, Ontario, Mike.
CBD, THC, C3PO, R2D2. They got everything you need there at Spirit Leaf Waterdown, located at, Aaron, one more time,
64 Hamilton Street North.
And let's be honest, curbside pickup, it's very safe. Place your order, show some love for them, because and besides, you're at home. What else are you doing right now, Aaron? What are you doing, honestly? What are you doing with your life? Why don't you smoke some weed, Aaron? Smoke some weed.
Man, I got the
kids. Get it together. Support our sponsors. Get some goddamn weed. What else do you have to do?
It'll chill me out a little bit more than I am right now.
Probably would. You're a little angry.
I've had an interesting week, that's for sure. So, but it's going to get more exciting. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see. We'll definitely see what happens.
Listen, everybody, I want to thank you very much for joining us today on the podcast, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. And remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep training, and we'll see you on the mat.